Reviews of Fast X and the remake of The Little Mermaid on this episode of the Movies Past and Present podcast. Hello and welcome to the Movies Past and Present podcast. It's May 27th, 2023, and this is episode 105. I'm your host, Stanford Clark, and I'm podcasting from the crossroads of the West in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. Just like my blog, moviespastandpresent.com, I'll be providing recommendations, commentary, and reviews about current and classic cinema. Thanks for tuning in, and let's do this thing. All right, we've got two reviews this week. First up is Fast X or Fast 10, whatever you want to call it, which is the latest film in the Fast saga, as Universal Pictures is wanting to call this film series. Actually, in this long-running film series, I mean, if you can believe it, the first Fast and Furious film came out in 2001, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, this thing's been going on and hugely popular around the world. I think each film just gets dumber and dumber. Nothing can really top the last episode, F9, where they sent a couple of the team members into space into a Pontiac Fiero with a big rocket engine attached to the top. I mean, I know you just can't take these films seriously, but come on, that was so stupid. Anyway, this film is a bit of a departure, I have to say. I mean, it's just more of the same stuff that the people seem to love. Just cars, explosions, crazy action sequences, cars dropping out of airplanes and all sorts of stuff. And then, of course, the ongoing relationships between Dom Toretto, who's played by Vin Diesel, and his crew. So this film, I got to tell you, though, is a bit of a departure. It's still got all the kind of ridiculous stuff that makes up a Fast and Furious movie. But what I like about it is that it's I just thought the story just went in a more interesting direction. So we're introduced in this film to a character named Dante, who's played by Jason Momoa. And Dante happens to be the son of the drug lord that Dom and team took out in the film Fast 5. And this dude is crazy, super colorful, think like almost like a James Bond style kind of villain, and he wants to exact revenge on Dom and the group for killing his dad. So the Dom and team, they get framed for something, which I will, I'll keep the spoiler free, and basically are just on the run from the law and from Jason Momoa's character, from this Dante. And it just, sure, maybe it sounds like it's more of the same, but these other Fast and Furious films, particularly like the last three, they've turned these characters into like a James Bond type of thing. I mean, again, I was comparing, Jason Momoa to the James Bond villain, but for, Vin Diesel and his team to go travel around the world and do these capers, I don't know. There's just something about still, I think, just staying in Los Angeles and having a street racing and a crime movie. I guess you just can't do that, 10 times. But, then there's always Pontiac Fieros in outer space. So, what do I know? But the plot to me was a lot more interesting, and it put the characters, I just think, in a different kind of situation where they're really kind of fighting for their lives, and they get put in challenging situations, and everybody's back. Michelle Rodriguez, Jordana Brewster, Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris. Also, Dom and Mia's long lost brother, Jacob, who's played by John Cena. He's in the film, and he's very good. Soon Kang is back as Han. We've got some new characters too. Brie Larson is in the film. She works for the agency. If you're, familiar with some of these last ones, that's that kind of mysterious organization that Kurt Russell was a part of. So anyway, there's just lots of characters, lots of action, lots of explosions. But I just think the introduction of this new villain, Dante, really put the film on an interesting trajectory. Now, this film, as you've probably heard, it's actually the first one of a kind of a final trilogy, so they tell us. This particular group of characters within the Fast saga. So we'll see what actually Universal decides to do, because anything can happen. Anybody can come back to life. Anybody can pretty much. It's weird because just for the most part, everybody's invincible, I guess, until they're not. But welcome to the world of the Fast saga. But if you just want kind of a fun popcorn movie, and with lots of car chases, lots of interesting locations, and these characters that we know quite well, I say Fast X was definitely a solid film in this film series. Still, my favorite is, speaking of, is Fast Five. That one was just so good, so solid, so entertaining, and I thought it just had still like the right tone where, it's outrageous the stuff that they do, but it still felt grounded somewhat in at least the laws of gravity and physics and stuff. So anyway, definitely if you're if it's your thing, I think Fast X will hopefully deliver for you. Next up is The Little Mermaid. So this is a remake of the beloved film from Walt Disney Animation Studios that came out in 1989, and that really revived animation at Disney, and became just wildly popular. And one of the things about it is just because the music and the story are so good. It's really, I remember seeing it, and it just felt a lot like a Broadway play and no doubt, given that Alan Menken and Howard Ashman were the team that were behind it. Of course, the animated film had great directors in John Musker and Ron Clements, and beautiful animation, and just everything about it was just, it was a home run, right? So here we are now, and as Disney is hell-bent on remaking every one of their animated classics into another film, and typically they're calling it live action. I don't really know about any mermaids, so it's photorealistic CGI with some actors, some actors. And I'm just happy to report that I think it's a really good movie. It's directed by Rob Marshall, and I honestly think that that's one of the big pluses about it, is that Rob Marshall is a good director. I think one of the best films that he did was 21 years ago, but he directed a film adaptation of the musical Chicago, and I think that's terrific. He also uh, directed Into the Woods and Mary Poppins Returns. But the dude knows how to direct a musical. And that I felt was the strongest thing about it, is just everything about how the camera moved and, um, the editing. And again, the performances that he gets out of everybody, because I'm sure that actually this is probably a hard thing for the actors to make, because they're probably on, some kind of a blue screen set. I've got to look for some behind the scenes stuff, which I know is starting to appear. But overall, I thought it looked that the reason that it's so good is, number one, I guess you really should say that the source material is terrific, and to their credit, they really stuck with the most part to the source material. Now, not with some kind of a slavish thing like that CGI Lion King that came out, what was that, 4 years ago? See, I thought that the Lion King was heinous, because it was basically just a shot-for-shot remake with these emotionless CGI animals. And sure, the voice performances were good, but I don't know. And then and Beyonce's in it. Hello, Queen Bee. But this movie, this Little Mermaid remake, just was so charming. Now, I think also kudos to the screenwriter David McGee, who really adapted this film. I just thought in a smart way. Again, stayed very true to the original, but just added a few little things here and there that I thought made it interesting. And again, not just a shot-for-shot remake, but it added some interesting backstory. Probably the most interesting was to Prince Eric, the character Prince Eric, but not just like some heinous thing like, let's give Ursula this tragic backstory, and she's really, Ursula the Sea Witch is really just a nice person who's misunderstood. There's none of that. Ursula's bad, and speaking of Ursula, she's deliciously played by Melissa McCarthy, and I thought Melissa McCarthy was great. Again, you can't beat Pat Carroll, who was the voice actor for the animated one, and the great animation that was done on Ursula. But I thought they did a nice job, and Melissa McCarthy, I thought she nailed it. Javier Bardem plays King Triton, and he's fine. Daveed Diggs plays Sebastian, the talking crab, and he's very good too. And really nails, I think, the Under the Sea number, which is a big splashy piece in the film, in the animated film, and again in this one. Awkwafina voices Scuttle, the seagull, who's like the know-it-all seagull, the know-it-all seagull, but he really doesn't know anything. That's the way the character is in both the animated one in 1989 and this new one. I really like Awkwafina, and I think she's funny. If there is a miss in this film, it's probably Awkwafina. I just didn't love what they had her character do, and she also has a musical number that it's a rap, and it just, to me, that it didn't really land. But a minor detail that does not sink the film by any means. Speaking of new music, there are 3 new songs, if I'm not mistaken, that Alan Menken wrote the music for, and Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote the lyrics. Now, this is Lin-Manuel Miranda's favorite. This is his favorite film as a kid, and maybe it still is. Or you should say the 1989 animated film. He named his first kid Sebastian. If you didn't know that, but so Prince Eric gets a song, Ariel gets a song, and a new song, I should say, and then this kind of weird thing that Scuttle does, the Lin-Manuel Miranda rap. Um, for me, the most successful of the new songs is the song they gave to Prince Eric, and it's a great song, number one, but also beautifully filmed and edited. And again, I attribute that to Rob Marshall, who knows how to make a musical. So you know, I was honestly expecting to hate this film, and I left the theater smiling and thinking it was pretty great. You know, if these Disney live action remakes don't drive you crazy, this one is solid. And I really should say, just as a final note, that the actress Halle Bailey, who plays Ariel, is just terrific, and that girl can sing. When she sings "Part of Your World," which is really, I think, the big number of the movie, she just nails it. And that's been a frustrating thing to me about some of these Disney live action remakes, particularly their remake of Beauty and the Beast. Oh my gosh, hiring these actors that can't sing and then just auto-tuning them to death. It was just so cringeworthy and so frustrating, because again, here are these absolute, iconic and wonderful songs that just get butchered because the people can't sing them. But is not the case in this one. All the leads can sing, and particularly Halle Bailey, and she is marvelous. So anyway, both Fast X and The Little Mermaid are playing exclusively in theaters, and might be a fun addition to your Memorial Day weekend plans. Okay, in Classic Cinema Corner, let's talk Indiana Jones for a minute. So, as you're probably aware, there's a brand new Indiana Jones film starring Harrison Ford. It's coming to theaters June 30th. It's called Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I'm so stoked for this movie, and my fingers are crossed that it's going to be good. But one nice thing that Lucasfilm and Disney, which is now the owner of Lucasfilm, is doing is they're putting all four of the quote unquote original Indiana Jones films on Disney Plus, starting on May 31st. So that is, I think, fantastic. So it's Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So all four of those are going to be on Disney Plus starting next week. So that will be a fun way to catch up, I think, on all four of those movies, because I really want to see them. But also, the OG film, Raiders of the Lost Ark, is coming to theaters. It's through Fathom Events. So on June 4th and on June 7th, Raiders of the Lost Ark again on the big screen. So I am so geared for this, because this is Raiders of the Lost Ark is just one of my all-time favorite films. It's directed by Steven Spielberg. Great story by George Lucas, and both of these guys were in their prime. And it's just one of the best action movies, I think, ever put on film. It's an homage to the serials that both Steven Spielberg and George Lucas watched in movie theaters when they were kids. And it's just a delightful action film, and just nothing's better. So check fathomevents.com. I'll have a link to it in the podcast notes on my blog. But Raiders of the Lost Ark in theaters June 4th and June 7th. This month's, June's Fathom big screen classic screen movie is Hairspray. And it's the original Hairspray, the non-musical one. I love the musical one. They turned Hairspray into a Broadway play, which then got made into a really great movie. But they're celebrating the 35th anniversary of Hairspray. And as you know, this story is set in 1962 in Baltimore, and a teenage girl is trying to number one, she wants to get on this dance show that's kind of like an American Bandstand type of show. But it really turns into a story about racial discrimination. It's directed by John Waters, who's just made lots of kind of bizarre cult movies. It stars Divine in his or her / last role as the mother of the main character, and Ricky Lake. I don't even remember if you remember Ricky Lake, who had a TV talk show for a while. I think it was in the 90s, but anyway, she does a great job playing this daughter and really kind of the heroine of the film. I can't say I've seen a lot of John Waters films. I've seen some, and by far, I think Hairspray is the most approachable of his work. And I think one of the things I really actually respect about Hairspray, both this version and the musical version, is they tackle some pretty serious issues regarding racial discrimination, but in a way that doesn't just hit you over the head. It makes you think while you're, enjoying a good movie. But I think it's really well crafted. And if you haven't seen this particular version, it's worth seeing. I think sometimes it's in the rotation on Turner Classic Movies. I know it got played actually on Mother's Day. I watched it on Mother's Day on TCM. But still, the 35th anniversary of Hairspray will be in theaters on June 11th and June 14th. More information is on fathomevents.com, and I'll have a link. I'll have a link to the podcast notes, or in the podcast notes on my blog. One final thing I think to mention about Fathom Events is that the Studio Ghibli Fest of 2023 continues. And what they're doing for this year of Studio Ghibli Fest is they are showing films that are directed by Hayao Miyazaki. And the one for June is KIKI'S Delivery Service. So this is a cute coming-of-age story about a resourceful young witch who uses her broom to create a delivery service. It's a cute movie. It's not my favorite Miyazaki movie, but being able to see a Miyazaki movie on the big screen is definitely something that's worth considering. So KIKI'S Delivery Service is going to be on big screens June 11th and June 14th. Again, it's part of the Studio Ghibli Fest of 2023. And, actually, as I'm looking a little closer on the website, it looks like they've added a day. So June 11th, June 12th, and June 14th are all days that you can see KIKI'S Delivery Service on the big screen. Check fathomevents.com. I will have, again, links to that in the podcast notes on my blog. Well, that does it for this episode of the Movies Past and Present podcast. Again, links and more information about the movies discussed in today's podcast can be found in the podcast notes on my blog at moviespastandpresent.com. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. Links are also on the blog. And follow me on Instagram. My handle is @moviespap, as in past and present. I hope you'll enjoy some good movies this week, whether they be from the past or the present. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, be safe out there and dedicate yourself to the truth.